You should.
Should I get started? Because we like our waffles. So I brought a
wish I could
game
use
called
that
Inspector
for the
Waffles.
title.
So Inspector Waffles, early days actually, for the Game Boy Color. It's called Early Days because it's actually a prequel to a PC game, which
is
is
this
just
prequel
made in
already out?
Unity. This is the prequel of that original game. So that original game is like from,
Is it
I
always
think,
of the same author?
2 years back,
Okay.
and this just released. Same author, yes. So and I think the original was made in Unity, and this is made in GB Studio actually. I'll get to that later. It's called, I forgot the company name.
I need to get you one of these mice. So these mice do not make any
called-
noise because when I'm
this word.
editing this episode, I always get all your
Colosso-
clickies and clockies on your mouse. Yes.
Yeah, my keyboard is also
Goloso,
very
yeah.
loud.
In Italian,
But
it
they're
means,
called
not
Golosso
greedy,
games.
Not sort of greedy. It means like you like
Golosso.
your food. Very. Yeah, I don't know in English actually. Greedy, I think.
I think it's actually a
Goloso,
French
you mean.
studio, but I'm not 100% sure. So yeah, and this game really just released a few weeks back from recording, so very new. What is it about? It's about Inspector Waffles, and he is an There we go. the anthropomorphized cat. So it's a cat, and he has he's actually a sort of a detective. So he has like a Sherlock Holmes kind of a costume on, and actually because it's a prequel, he's still very young, and he still lives at his mom, and you actually, the first mission you're on, it's his first mission ever as a inspector or a detective. So yeah, you start with the first case, and when you start it looks a bit like a Pokémon game, like the top-down view. Right, yes. And also you go to you walk to other characters to talk to them, and you get a similar dialogue box, and also has a bit like the similar cartoon style as Pokemon. So you get to your first case, and your first case is about a stolen video game. So and because you're young, you know a lot about the video games, you're the right man for that job. So together with your partner, which is called Pancakes,
is it?
you go to the crime scene.
Nice.
Yes.
Waffles and Pancakes.
So you are playing Waffles, and your partner is called Pancakes. So you go to first. You start in the police office, and then you go to your car, and you see a map, and you can click the video game store, and you can go there. And when you're there, you see the crime scene. So you see also the top-down view. You see shattered glass behind next to the building, and so you're walking around, and you're going to collect clues. So, for example, you see the shattered glass, you walk to there, and if you interact with the glass, you suddenly get a still picture of the window with shattered glass under it, and So you change view into a sort of point-and-click adventure view, and you can move a cursor along the screen to interact with different spots on that picture. For example, you click the shattered glass, and then you get some remark about the glass. And so you can find clues everywhere, and these clues show up in your inventory as sort of icons. So, for example, if you click the glass, there's like, oh, the glass is not inside the building, but outside the building. So that's a clue that the person who stole it didn't get in to the window, but he gets out of the window. So so you get an icon of shattered glass in your inventory. And when you talk to all the suspects, which are also around the crime scene, you can start
interrogation.
Interrogation.
Yeah.
Wow. Interrogation. And you start with a question, and you can then the person talks, and then you have to bring some of the clues to convince them to talk about some
crime,
some part of the criminal act, the crime. So and then when you correctly bring the correct clue, then you can ask another question to that suspect. And if you interrogated everyone, then you can go to pancakes, and you can sort of get a final report to pancakes. And then you get from pancakes, you get a multiple choice quiz about the whole crime. So he asks, for example, how did the criminal get into the building? Who stole the video game? Why did they do it? And where is it now? Something like that. And you have to answer them all correctly. And if you answer them all correctly, then you will solve the case. So that's a bit of like the gameplay loop. And actually, that's kind of it. But there are some puzzles to do sometimes. For example, sometimes there is someone standing next to a table with clues on there, but if you touch that table, you'll say don't touch that stuff. So you have to distract them, maybe
to be able to access the table.
To lure the suspect away from the table, and then you can go to the table to get to the clues, and so you can use them later. And also, you're not only on that crime scene. Sometimes you talk to a suspect, and he says some person helped him or installed, for example, in the first case, there's an alarm system installed by some company, and you have to also go to that company to interrogate them to see if maybe they did it, or because they know the codes for the alarm system, something like that. So you can also go back to your car and go to another place
but it's the same crime, though.
To go to another scene and interrogate other people. It's about the same crime, and also you have to unlock all those places. So if someone talks about that company, about the alarm system, then you get that place unlocked. So actually, it's quite linear. You have to unlock and unlock every step in the way. But I actually quite like that. Because I also started the original game just to play it for 10 minutes to check out how it's different from this game. And that game is more like a traditional point-and-click adventure, where you have to, it's a little bit more obtuse what you have to do, and you can collect a lot of objects, and you don't know what to do with it yet. Well, this is you collect something and then you immediately know, oh, okay, I can use it there. It's in that way it's a lot easier to go through the story, and I actually quite like that because with point and click adventures sometimes you can really easily get stuck, and I don't
Okay.
particularly like that. Um, Other than that, there is sometimes
Okay.
there were a few. I completed this game yesterday. There were like 4 or 5 puzzles which
Yeah.
were a bit more difficult, where you have to find um, pieces of notes and you have to decipher what's on that note. There's like a sort of um, yeah. There's for example some glyphs on there. You don't know what it is yet, and you have to use that with another node to decipher some code for a door, for example. I don't know exactly the details anymore, but
Okay.
maybe better for the review, so I don't spoil it. But it gets a little bit more difficult later on. But uh, for me, it was like, oh, that's a nice puzzle. So yeah, I actually
Ah,
really like this game. I couldn't stop playing, and normally sometimes I have like with these games, especially with point and click
but
adventures,
you know what? This doesn't really remind me
I
of a
tend to
point and
lose
click adventure. When
interest
I
after a
saw it
while.
and you describing it, it links for me more to something like Ace Attorney. For the, did you know? Yeah, you like that then. If you like this, I think that
I never played that.
that makes me, this game actually makes me a bit nostalgic of and wanting to go back to play Ace Attorney as well. Obviously, this as well, but it was a game on the
Hmm,
Nintendo DS at the time, and you you know it. Okay, okay. So yeah,
I do know it,
you should try that.
but I never played it. So yeah,
You have to
if
find the
it's
clues in
similar,
the
then
same way, and
then I
then you don't go
would like it
to
probably.
the pancakes
And
guy, but you go to the judge at court, and then you have to make sense of all
court.
your
Uh,
clues there and then in the court, and then sometimes if you don't get it right, you lose the case, you lose the you lose the battle.
oh wow. Well, that's in this game. If you not answer these questions
Mm,
correctly in that final report, uh, he just says like something like that's not correct. You see, like you have 3 answers of 4 correct, for example, and then you can just
yeah,
redo the report. So it's not there's no point of failure in this game, which actually I quite liked. But the only problem with that was like, okay, you have that multiple choice quiz, and you can't go back and ask to the suspects to get that information back. So you have to play the whole case and you have to remember everything everyone said or what you found, and you can't easily get back to the information every suspect said. So you really have to um, yeah, remember stuff, and you can
okay,
replay the whole case if you if you
okay.
really don't know. But yeah, that's maybe a bit annoying. For example, one of the uh, you also answer these questions with icons. So um, if you um, there was one question where you have to identify one person, and there were like 3 of these little tiny sprites of cats, 3 different cats, which are almost the same, but one was a little
So
bit
you don't
thicker
remember
and one
which
was a
one.
little bit thinner and one there was a little bit different color. And then you have to pick the right one. And I was like, I don't know what that sprite looked like when I talked to him, and you
Oh,
couldn't go back to that suspect. So, but that was just trial and error, and I got it correctly after that as well. So
okay.
in this game, there's 5 of these cases, and in the beginning, it's just a stolen video game, and it was pretty tame. So I thought, okay, this is a happy-go-lucky story. But I think in the
Oh
third
God.
case, you're already solving a murder where there's a cat on the street with 3 bullet holes in his back, which was pretty grim. So all of a sudden, and also you're
Oh my
finding
god.
some kind of drug syndicate where you have to. Actually, the drugs are not weed or something, but catnip, which is quite funny. Like so, there's all like cat puns in this game, and a lot of references to old Game Boy games, but also
Yeah, I
old
saw. Yeah, I
movies,
saw
but
as
all
well.
with cat puns in there, uh, which is I found very funny and very well done, honestly. So I really love that, and so there's 5 of these cases, and well, I think I played it for
Oh,
maybe
yeah.
3 hours or something, and I beat it. But after I beat it, I
Oh.
also saw there was a 6th case, and I also found in every case I found, for example, a door which was closed with a number pad
Yeah.
on there, which I didn't know the code, for example, or I found just a locked door or an item which I don't know what to do with it. And the Inspector Waffles also says when you interact with that object, oh, maybe I need an item from a
Oh
previous
wow.
case
How would you
to
get that
do
over? That's
something
interesting.
with
So if it
this.
comes from a Steam game, how do you get that
So
over? Ah, case in this game.
no,
Okay.
it's just a previous case in this game. So if you go to the so if you're in the second case, then you're, for example, in front of a locked door, you don't know what to do with it, and then maybe Inspector Waffle says, "Oh, maybe I forgot something in my previous case," or something like that. So, but I had all kinds of that stuff in this game, and so
Hey, Guido and his
obviously I had to replay it
completionist. Yeah, go for it.
to find this.
Sorry.
I have to find more stuff. So
Yeah.
I only did the first case now again, and it's actually quite difficult to find the hidden stuff in this game. And suddenly the
Oh.
puzzles get way harder. It's really easy to overlook this stuff. So it's interesting to replay the game and comb out all these little scenes, and for every little object what's in there, and maybe little clues to maybe progress somewhere. And it's really interesting to do, and actually it opens up a new
Yeah.
sort of meta game for me, where I just have to find all the other stuff. And I also talked to the developer. He said, yeah, you have to do that to unlock that 6th case uh, to yeah. So you have to
So have you
do
unlocked it or have you
quite
not
a lot
unlocked it?
to get this to the 6th case.
Ah,
No,
so.
I only did the first case, and I found something I can bring
Ah,
to
okay.
the second case, and I have to replay the whole game. Unfortunately, I play it on my analog pocket, so I can fast forward. On my analog pocket, I have a core where I can fast forward the game, so I can fast forward
I
all
see. I
the
see.
dialogue, because I know every answer now. But everything around it, I don't know, because I didn't, I wasn't aware of that meta stuff
Then what you
where
need? Yeah,
there's more
yeah.
in the
Okay, I
game
see. Interesting.
than meets the eye. So yeah, that's interesting. And there's also other hidden stuff. For example, I found um, an arcade machine, and later on I found a coin, so I could play an arcade game in this game. It's actually quite
I
a
love when they put
fun
this
mini
stuff in like
game.
that.
It's not brilliant or something, but there's like a sort of shmup, a little sort of shoot 'em up in there, uh, which I played, and maybe there's more in there. There's definitely stuff I didn't know what to do with, so I'm very curious what's that all about. So yeah, very interesting for such well.
Yeah.
At first
And
you
then there's
think it's a
murders.
little baby game, and now I'm like it gets more grim, this game, and also it has pretty um,
Oh, okay.
adult themes in there. because of the murder and the drugs and addiction and the depression, stuff like that is all in this game. So it's quite it's quite interesting that it's so much more than meets the eye, and it made me really happy. And it's made in GB Studio, and normally games made in GB Studio always have like a certain jank in there where you have like wrong hit detection or a lot of weird stuff in there. But I think this type of game is really perfect for GB Studio because there is no combat or there is no difficult interactions. It's just I think isn't the other homebrew podcast they call these games walkie talkies, I guess.
All right, yeah.
So you walk and you talk a lot. So it's actually a walkie-talkie and a little bit of point-and-click adventuring and small puzzles. And I can't recommend it enough.
Nice.
It's one of my favorite Game Boy Color games now. I really enjoyed it. Unfortunately, it's only 3 hours long, and maybe I can stretch 2 hours more out of it. So I would love to see
hopefully you'll make
sequel
it.
or something.
I see a poo. Yeah. What is this poo?
A poo?
Yes.
Well, it's next to a building,
There's
right?
a cat underneath it doing yoga.
I'm not sure yet, but I've seen it, and that cat is saying better not continue to that alleyway, something like that. So they told him, they said something about it, but I don't know what it means yet. Maybe it's something.
You need that poo to do the 6 case. The 6 case poo.
Also with the meta. Maybe the 6K
exactly
6 case is about who made that poo. I don't know. But you can buy this game either on Broke Studios, a physical copy. I don't know.
So I have to edit them out.
I'll make typey sounds.
I won't.
And you can also buy it on Steam for 10 euros. But I don't know for sure if you can buy a ROM for it. I don't know if it's included. I don't know if it's included in the Steam version. I forgot to ask. I just got the ROM from the developer, so there is a ROM.
We cannot give it to anyone
out there.
Yes.
But and no, of course not. But the game on Broke Studios.
We'll come to that later in the
euros.
news, but about the price. But yes, okay, fair enough. 50 euros for the physical edition.
Let's see if the
Steam version.
And the 10 euros for digital, and I assume that you can get the ROM out of it.
While you type, I will comment on the
itch as well.
graphics. I really like how it looks. I have some more questions for you. So it's like an RPG sort of, and then it shifts
of course,
from that sort of view to like a Sam Millard again. I get like an image, a static image of something, and you move your mouse around and you can see hints on what stuff is, and then you've got this notebook in your pocket, I guess, where you store the clues. Some of the questions I've got are like, how do you initiate? Well, there's loads of questions. One is, for example, how do you initiate the like an interrogation? Like, do you initiate it on the screen like the RPG, or do you have to go into like another screen, let's say, to go further in detail?
You just walk in the RPG section. You walk to a person, a suspect. They call it. Everyone is a suspect. That's also funny. Sometimes there's just a police officer there, and you can interrogate the police officer as suspect. I don't know, but everyone you interact with except Pancakes is a suspect in this game. So So and then you just get in that interrogation
Yeah, I've not
screen where
seen this
you
interrogation. I
can
want to
ask
see
the
how it
first
looks, this
question.
interrogation screen. Like, is it a dialogue? Is it like the face of the person? Is it like
Yeah, you in the left you if I just from memory, in the left you see what case you're on, and then you see the person, and then in the right you see
Oh, so it's not
um,
okay. I
like
see. I
four
see.
slots
I
of
see.
questions, and the first question is like the first question is
Yeah.
a question mark, and you can click that question mark, and then you can do that question, and then if you solve that question mark, the new question mark gets in that second slot, and you can um, ask a second question. And sometimes it's only two questions, and when you're done questioning, the game
Yeah.
also says
Yeah.
your
I see that. Yeah.
interrogation is done, or something like that. So if you can't ask any more questions, then the game tells that to you. So that's also it is pretty
Oh yeah.
handholdy, but for me,
That's what you like, sort
I
of.
like it. It pushed
Exactly.
the game forward. It's not that you get stuck.
Yeah. Yeah.
You just want to continue on in the story, and you don't want to get bothered
Yeah.
uh, with getting stuck for such a silly. It's a silly thing to get stuck on, I guess.
Yeah,
If you
yeah,
don't know how
of
many
course. I
questions you
completely
can
agree with you. I
ask
just want to
a
get on with the
person, for
story. But
example.
yeah, I thought there was an interrogation screen in terms like there was a big portrait and you on the side, but instead it's like again the notebook and another slip of the notebook, and the suspect is a small sort of icon there down there. Okay, interesting, interesting. And then you have like a mouse pointer,
Right,
so
right. It's
you use I assume, yeah, the D-pad to drive that.
the D-pad.
Interesting.
Yeah, and actually that works really well. And if you go over an object you can interact with, it
Ah, I
changes in
see.
a looking glass, I think. And then you can you press A, and then you can yeah, well then you see
So these
if it's
screens, the big
something
screens,
you
like
can use
where are
in
or
this
draw,
case.
like you can
And
move your
then
mouse around different objects. How do you access those? Do you have to, yeah, I don't know, point? So, for example, you click on the table of someone, and then that becomes like an image of the table with all the stuff on top, and you can just go. Is that how it works? Okay.
right. Yeah, it's the same if you as interacting with a person. You go in the RPG style screen. You go to it, for example, like like a keypad on the wall for interacting with the door to insert the code. Then um, you just press A next to that
Yeah,
keypad,
yeah,
and then you go
yeah,
in
yeah.
that picture screen. I don't know how to call that.
I see, I
And
see.
if you press B, you get out of it. So it's really
Okay.
uh, straightforward, actually.
Yeah,
It
yeah. By all
works. It
means.
works how
How do
you think
you?
it should work,
Yeah.
I
So,
guess.
like, if you're going out,
Really
so I
intuitive.
mean, like, if you're like a little cat and you're going around asking all these questions, but have you access to the point to the posts? Sorry, let's redo this. Have you got access to the places where you have to go and ask these questions, or do you have to gain the access somehow, and or have a warrant to search or stuff like that? Yeah, yes, yes. All
Yes.
right.
All of it. All of it. Sometimes you need a warrant. Sometimes you.
Okay. Okay.
Uh, sometimes you don't know how to get in somewhere, or and sometimes you don't know a location yet where to
Yeah.
go, but you have to interrogate it out of someone to
And the
get a new
warrant you would get
location
from
unlocked,
Pancakes, I'm
or
guessing. So you go back
stuff
to
like that.
Pancakes and say,
So
"Well, I need a warrant
also,
for this," and they'll say, "Okay."
I think there was like only in the story they say you have a warrant
Oh,
for
okay.
this
So
case, and you can go
I see.
in
I
that
see.
building just to tie it together, I think. Or else it's maybe they try to make it sort
Yeah.
of believable. Well, everyone is a cat or a dog or another animal. Actually, it could
But cats is
very
better.
well be humans. But but
Hmm.
yeah, cats is more lighthearted, I guess. But actually, I'm more shocked by a shot
But that
cat,
was fun.
like
When
a
when you
cat,
sent me
dead
that,
cat
I
on the ground
thought
with
I
3
had
holes in
like
his
a
back,
little
than
laugh.
maybe a
Like,
human.
it looks funny. It looked like a cartoon dead.
So yeah, that's that was quite a shock somehow. Well, dead people in games is common, but
Yeah. Well, it's
dead cats is
interesting.
strange. I don't know. So, but yeah, this game is more than meets the eye, and I really liked it about it. And yeah, and it's really cute. The art style is really.
This game is more than
I
meets
would
the
call it
eye.
cute and cartoony. And if you
yeah.
more than meets the meow. uh, I actually found it on
How much is the ROM?
itch.io. It's
10.
you can get the ROM as well.
Sounds good.
For $10 as well. So yeah, I definitely,
Yeah.
everyone who likes these kinds of games, I urge to. Maybe it's quite easy, but honestly, there was 1 or 2 spots where I thought I was a little bit stuck, that I really had to think, like, how do I get through here? But it was a spot where the game locks you in that location, so you can't get out. So when you want to get out of the door, the game says, "No, I have to solve something right
Not
here."
complete.
So then you know that you have all
I
the
think that's good
ingredients
save.
somewhere in this room or in your inventory, and so you don't wander around all the time. So, but then again, I was in that room and I was like, I can't interact with anything here other than that
Everything.
object.
Yeah,
So I had to really think and look for other stuff in my. So that got me a little bit stumped. So it's definitely not a kid's game. It's also not a very difficult
Right.
puzzle game, I guess. But it's just
medium.
Just
you should go back to the author.
Medium,
this
I
game
guess.
is
Medium difficulty.
Yeah.
Medium difficulty. And well, like I said, I actually bought some stuff from Broke Studios, and I didn't buy this because I didn't play it yet. And now I'm sad that I didn't also order this physical copy as well, because I also really like the art style of the.
Yeah, all the art that surrounds this, but also the game
box
Steam
art
is really nice. I really like that pixel art that they've done there as well.
The pixel art, but also all the maybe like the comic style art. And if you play the main game, it's also they integrate the comic style, and when the gameplay is actually pixel art, but the cutscenes are this comic style, which is quite beautiful. So the main game is also in Steam sale now. I think it's €5, and I immediately bought it when I was like, I sold 2 or 3 cases of this game, and I thought, I need the main game as well.
If it costs £5, it's definitely worth it.
So yeah, if you like but that's way more like a point and click adventure.
Do.
So if you like that style of game, it's probably a good one. I can
good
tell.
Good stuff. I like it.
I've only played it for
this
half an
Inspector
hour.
Waffles. It's been on my radar for a while. I'm glad you picked it up because I've picked something else up this time.